The job market you're graduating into is officially the toughest one in over a decade. But here's the strange part. Most of the advice you're hearing is dangerously outdated. Your parents are telling you to print your resume and hand it out in person. Your career counselor is telling you to apply to everything. And you're doing that, sending out application after application and hearing absolutely nothing back. It feels like you're doing everything right and getting punished for it. So today I'm going to show you exactly what's happening, why the old playbook stopped working, and what the fresh grads who are actually landing jobs are doing differently. Stick with me, because the strategies at the end are the ones almost nobody talks about. Let's start with the reality, because you can't win a game if you don't understand the rules. Unemployment for recent college graduates has climbed to nearly 6%. That is higher than the national average for all workers, which almost never happens. For decades, having a degree meant you were more likely to be employed than the average person. That advantage has now flipped. Entry-level job postings are down about 35% since early 2023. And here's the number that should genuinely change how you think. Nearly 43% of new grads are underemployed, working jobs that don't even require the degree they spent 4 years earning. So why is this happening? A big part of the answer is one word: automation. The entry-level jobs that used to be your on-ramp into a career, the junior analyst roles, the basic research tasks, the customer support positions, the simple coding work, those are exactly the jobs that AI tools are absorbing the fastest. Think about it from the employer side. If software can now do the grunt work a junior hire used to do, they don't need that junior hire anymore. Or worse, they expect the new hire to come in operating at a higher level from day one. As one report put it, if AI is handling the grunt work, new hires need to slot in almost as mid-level talent immediately. That's the trap. The bottom rung of the career ladder is being sawed off. But once you understand the trap, you can climb around it. Let me show you how. Strategy number 1. Stop relying on applications alone. This is the single biggest mistake, and your instincts will fight you on it. The old model was pure volume. Apply to 100 jobs, get a few interviews, land one. That model is broken now, and here's a specific reason why. Ghost jobs. Studies estimate that up to 20% of online listings aren't even being actively filled. They exist to build a pipeline for later, or collect resumes, or make a company look like it's growing. So when you fire off 200 applications into the void, a real chunk of them were never actual openings. You're pouring energy into doors that were never going to open. The grads who are winning treat applications as maybe half their effort. The other half goes into real networking, and I'll break that down shortly. But first, let's fix the applications you are sending, because most of them are dying before a human ever sees them. This is strategy number 2. Beat the robot first. Over 97% of large companies use software called an applicant tracking system, or ATS, to screen resumes before any human looks at them. Your resume gets scanned, parsed, and scored by a machine. And the data is brutal. The median resume scores just 48 out of 100 on its first submission. More than half never even reach the passing threshold. That means over half of all applicants are filtered out before a recruiter reads a single word. Not because they weren't qualified, because their resume wasn't readable by the machine. So how do you beat it? A few concrete rules. Keep your formatting clean and simple. No multiple columns, no tables, no fancy graphics, no putting important information inside headers or footers because the software often skips those. One single column, standard fonts, done. Use standard section headings. Write the words work experience, education, and skills. Don't get creative with things like my journey. The software is coded to look for the standard terms. And this is the big one. Mirror the exact language of the job posting. If the description says data analysis, your resume needs to say data analysis, not data analytics. These systems often don't recognize synonyms. Here's a free test you can run right now. Copy your entire resume, Paste it into a plain text editor like Notepad and look at it. If it comes out scrambled or out of order, that's exactly how the machine sees it, and that's why you're getting silence. Fix it until the plain text reads cleanly. And as a fresh grad, keep it to 1 page. You don't have 10 years of experience to justify 2. Do this, and you jump ahead of the 50% of applicants whose resumes are getting silently buried. Strategy number 3, and this is backed by the most shocking statistic I found. Get experience, even unpaid, even small. One major report found that graduates who had work experience during college were hired at a rate of over 80%. Graduates without any experience? Just 40%. That is a more than 2-to-1 difference. Let that sink in. The single biggest predictor of whether you get hired isn't your GPA or your school's prestige. It's whether you have any real-world experience to point to. Internships, freelance projects, part-time roles, volunteer work, personal projects you built on your own. These are no longer nice-to-haves. They've become filtering mechanisms. So if you have a gap here, your entire mission right now is to fill it. Take the internship even if the pay is low. Do the freelance gig. Build the portfolio project this weekend. Any of it counts, and all of it beats an empty experience section. And here's a shift that works in your favor. Since 2019, the share of employers who even screen your GPA has dropped from 73% down to 42%. Around 70% now hire based on demonstrated skills rather than credentials. So stop stressing about that one bad semester. Start proving what you can actually do. Strategy number 4. Become genuinely fluent in AI and then prove it. This is the paradox at the heart of everything. AI is taking entry-level jobs, but AI skills are also one of the fastest ways to get hired right now. Roughly 35% of entry-level jobs now list AI skills as a requirement. But only about 23% of recent grads say they received any real AI training. Do you see the opportunity? A huge chunk of employers want this skill, and most of your competition doesn't have it. That gap is where you win. And you don't need a computer science degree to close it. You need to actually use the tools that matter in your field, build something real with them, and then walk into an interview and say, "Here is exactly how I use these tools to do the work of 3 people in half the time." Specificity is everything. Don't say I'm familiar with AI. Say I use this tool to automate this specific task and it saved this many hours. That story alone puts you ahead of almost everyone else in the pool. Strategy number 5. Go where the hiring actually is. Because here's what the doom headlines miss. Not every field is bleeding. Some are desperate for people. Healthcare has been barely touched, with nursing grads walking into genuine demand and starting salaries above what most expected. Cybersecurity has a structural talent shortage that AI has not closed, because security work needs human judgment and adversarial thinking that tools can't replicate. Skilled trades are hiring hard. Government and public sector roles have been more insulated from the AI wave. Even within tech, some major companies have announced they're tripling entry-level hiring in specific areas. I'm not telling you to abandon your dream tomorrow. The point is to be strategic. If the exact field you trained for is contracting, look one step sideways. There may be an adjacent field that values your skills and is actually growing. Sometimes the smartest move isn't the front door of the industry you wanted. It's the side door of the industry that's hiring. Now let's come back to networking, because it's the highest leverage skill in this entire market. Here's the mindset shift. Most good jobs are filled through connections and referrals long before they ever hit a public job board. When you apply cold, you're at the back of the line with 300 strangers. When someone inside refers you, you skip most of that line. So how does a fresh grad with no network build one? Start with who you already know, even loosely. Former professors, alumni, people from your internships. Then expand deliberately. Find someone who has the job you want and send a short, genuine, specific message. Not, "Please give me a job." Instead, "I really admire the work you're doing. I'm just starting out. Could I ask you 2 quick questions about how you got there?" Most people ignore the first kind of message. A surprising number say yes to the second. And here's the underrated part. In-person still wins. A lot of grads assume everything is online now, but many employers still value showing up. Career fairs still convert. Being a real, warm human in the room still gives you an edge over someone hiding behind a screen. One last thing before we wrap, because it'll help you make better decisions. Security is the new priority. Surveys show a majority of grads right now would actually accept lower pay for greater job stability. Why does that matter to you? Because it means smaller and mid-sized companies have become genuinely great options. They may not have the brand name, but they often offer more responsibility, real mentorship, and the chance to actually build something. In a market where the big names are cutting entry-level roles, don't sleep on the smaller company that will actually invest in you. Sometimes the best first job isn't the most impressive-sounding one. It's the one where you'll learn the fastest. So let's pull it together. The fresh grads landing jobs in 2026 are doing 5 things. They stopped relying on applications alone and put real energy into networking. They optimized their resume to beat the ATS, because more than half of resumes never reach a human. They stacked real experience, because it literally doubles their odds. They got AI fluent to fill the exact skill gap employers are begging for. And they targeted industries that are actually growing instead of fighting over the ones that are shrinking. Here's the honest truth to leave you with. This market is hard. I'm not going to insult you by pretending it isn't. But hard is not the same as hopeless. Over 3/4 of recent grads still found a role within a few months of graduating, and that number actually went up from the year before. People are still getting hired every single day. The difference is that the people getting hired understand the new rules, and the people struggling are still playing by the old ones. You just spent this whole video learning the new rules, so go use them. If this gave you a real plan instead of empty motivation, subscribe, because I break down the money and career moves nobody teaches you in school. And tell me in the comments, what field are you trying to break into? I'll pin the toughest one and make a full video on how to crack it.